Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. For today's episode, we're going to take a look at episode 1 of 0083 Stardust Memory. This first episode is called Gundamjack, and we'll see how much it actually holds up. And before we get started, if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe. There is a link in the description for a video about the giveaway that's going on. There's 2 things I'm giving away, so lots of chances to win, but yeah, let's get started. So first of all, this beginning of the episode is really cool. It takes place during the end of the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Yeah, right before Giran and Consilia are killed, which kind of changes the face of the war. So we see Delaz, who is in charge of the Delaz fleet that we see in 0083 here. He even goes to the hangar to talk to Anavel Gato, who is a main antagonist of this series, to kind of let them know, hey, we've got to retreat from Abawaku, and that sets in motion what happens in 0083. And the battles here are just top tier Gundam, especially for the time it came out. And to add, this was released in 1991. Now there's, a whole number of episodes, I think about 13 or more, I forget exactly, but there's also the film version called The Afterglow of Zeon. Okay, now it is going to be what is considered present day for the series, 3 years after the defeat of Zeon. Now, what we're looking at here is this is the Torrington base in Australia, and we're seeing actually remnants of the colony drop that occurred from Operation British. And Operation British actually took place January 3rd of 0079. What's cool here is we're kind of seeing some mobile suit training going on. What looks like is blood splatter is really the kind of the paintball effect from the gun firing they're doing. And it's cool to see the mobile suits here. We have kind of this gym that's kind of powered, able to, navigate around on land. And we have this white Zaku as well. And we're introduced to a number of characters, but the coolest part is the absolute banger of a song that's played during the sequence.
This goddamn Zaku maneuvers like a piece of shit.
Within 3 minutes, we've got some foul language going on. So if anything, that tells you the audience that this is intended for. Oh, I'd love to just sit here and let the song play for everyone, but the video is going to be blocked. Notice that during this part, they said GM and not Jim. So, question for those out there, put it in the comments if you know. What is generally accepted? Jim, GM? Is it just dependent on who's saying it? Does it not really matter in the end? Is it more of just the fans that are in the know of Gundam say Jim? But also characters within the Gundam UC timeline, are they usually saying Jim or GM? The real questions, if you ask me. The Albion, the white base of 0083. So we were already introduced to some main characters like Keith and South Burning. Yes, the name is South Burning. But here's Nina Purpleton. Yes, Purpleton. Another kind of main character that plays a pivotal role throughout the series, and it gets a little weird near the end. And really cool animation here going on. And there's that exchange about Nina's first time down on Earth. And we hear that a lot in some other UC Gundam, where there's that contrast between those that live in the colonies and on Earth. And that's for the greater story of Gundam UC, but also individual characters that kind of adds to the characteristics or the traits of the characters. So some cool context, world building. Sydney used to be there, and that colony drop during Operation British is what we're seeing left here. And this is this 500-kilometer crater. It's just kind of cool to kind of get more world building of the events that occurred after the original Mobile Suit Gundam, or exploring events that occurred during the original Mobile Suit Gundam. As we saw the mention of Operation Stardust, this show is called Stardust Memory, but it's kind of cool to see that as the name, so you get an understanding of where that came from. We see this the kind of the subs that the Zeons are still using, the Zeon remnants. I really like that. That's consistent in UC. Even if there are battles going on in space, there's also weaponry, machinery underwater, and that's still viable, especially in Unicorn, for instance. The main character of Stardust Memory, a very neat character. I would say that in general, there's not too much of him. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but the character is just played straight enough for the viewer, I guess, to kind of just go along for the ride. Instead of there being baggage, how we're kind of used to in other UC property where There's a lot involved with parents, relationships, things that go on like that, drama. And while there's a little bit of drama, there's a little bit of that romance, it's still played very straight, very, I think, easy for a viewer to really kind of go along for the ride with the character.
Do you think they have any Gundam type suits on board?
Well, we're getting a little more story going on here now that Albion is landing. They're talking about having to choose a test pilot for what could potentially be some Gundam or 2 or 3 going on here. So yeah, we'll see. All right, the first look at the GPO-1. Really an amazing design. I think everyone can kind of agree that within Gundam, this is a great design. Now, it's called GPO-1, the Gundam Prototype Unit 1, and there's a couple more of them. And really, it's just taking what was learned from the original RX-78-2 Gundam and utilizing that for other prototypes. But again, the look is fantastic. It's classic, a little modernized, and just add a little more to it to make it stand out. But an excellent designed Gundam. I'm actually curious, for those out there, what do you think of the GPO-1? Does anyone not like it? And here we see the GPO-2. Very cool looking Gundam, and it's got a great kind of presence in this story. So if the English dubbing is correct, it's Ko Araki, not Ku, but Ko. Just kind of helping myself there with that. So Keith is kind of being a little creepy with Nina, but Mora steps in and kind of plays that off, which is pretty cool, seeing how at first it seems a little cringy, but they kind of step in and correct him a bit, and then she tries to get him to go on a date with her. Pretty funny. Just wanted to point out how cool the animation is. There's some parallax going on. There's multiple layers of animation. We have like a depth of field look with, the foreground here, as the vehicle is passing by. We've got the smoke effect in the clouds. Just want to point out that this show looks great. I have no complaints about the animation. Site security. So there's a mention of the first time accessing that hangar since the Antarctic Treaty was signed. That was the idea of Zeon and Earth Federation not to use nuclear weapons or drop colonies, even though they could still battle. And also interesting that it seems that Anaheim electronics engineer may be playing both sides, which is not unheard of within Anaheim electronics, but maybe that kind of lends to Anaheim is fine in some way with both sides continuing conflict. That just keeps them in business. So commotion going on in the lunch hall or cafeteria. There's that discussion about who the test pilot is going to be for these prototype Gundams, and that plays kind of a pivotal role with the character of Ko and everyone else. So this is a really cool next interaction between Nina and Ko, because what's happening here is he is more interested in getting more information about the Gundam's power output or some other type of metrics like that, and I think that is pretty cool for Nina, because she's seeing someone that is really interested in the Gundam itself and not her, and not just to pilot it, even though he wants to pilot it. But this is a good way to kind of set up the relationship between the two. So that's how it starts. Anaheim Electronics sneaks in a Zeon soldier into the Fetty base to maybe look at the prototype Gundams, perhaps. So Ko and Keith have arrived at the hangar, and really the Anaheim Electronics engineers are not too crazy about that. Even Nina says to get the hell out of here. But this is good timing, especially if a Zeon soldier is planning on sneaking in. Cool shot. Ooh, creepy.
Magnificent. A superb.
Pretty neat when, these two Federation soldiers just don't realize and don't even know that they're really talking to a Zeon that snuck in a Fetty uniform. And he's even asking about if the warhead has been loaded on yet. So now we're kind of picking up on what the intent is here. And here we go.
Who the hell? Huh?
Very cool.
Ah! Still loading the ammo. You can't take it out yet.
You'll just have to hurry.
Very cool. And the attack begins. So what better way to test out some prototype Gundam units than to have some sort of real-world scenario occur? You got Unit 2 stolen by Zeon, and just a random pilot jumping into Unit 1 to chase after him. Ooh, skatey boys. Very cool. Ah, the music and the stances, very badass. What? That's it? Obviously, I need to see the second episode. Yeah, I mean, that's a really awesome first episode. If you haven't seen 0083, it's totally worth watching. That was a really great setup for the rest of the series there. So, yeah, curious what everyone thinks about it. I think it has amazing animation. The story setup is pretty cool here. Really, it's really contained within the Xeon verse Federation thing, and it's not really a story about other families and how they're getting involved. So it's a kind of a cool other little aspect or angle to the UC story. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And I'm curious if I should just continue, do the second episode. Should I do the second episode of Zeta or Mobile Suit or any other ones? But again, thanks for watching. We'll talk later.